السلام عليكم ورحمة الله. الحمد لله والصلاة والسلام على سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. قال النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم: التائب من الذنب كمن لا ذنب له، أو كما قال عليه الصلاة والسلام. Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam says that the one who makes tawbah is like the one who has no sin. The myriad of emotions, responses, reactions to the current situation, just the diversity, as you're again interacting with people from a distance, interacting with the Muslim community from a distance, and as you engage with different demographics. So you have the younger community, then you have the older community, then you have the community from the subcontinent, then you have the Arab community, then you have those who immigrated here, and then you have those who are born here. Then you have those who have a very intense financial interests, as opposed to those who are more concerned about other things. So as you're dealing with these different demographics within the Muslim community, the reactions are so diverse that the distance and being distant and not being able to interact with people on a more casual basis and give them an opportunity to share their thoughts, their concerns, what's going on with them on a more regular basis, it makes doing this very difficult. Not to mention the fact that you're sitting here talking to an inanimate object without the benefit of having all the normal social cues that you receive and just the pure energy that you get from a crowd. But regardless, there's been a consistent flow of advice that has been coming from ulama. And part of that advice has been to recite Surah Yasin, to do istighfar in abundance, salawat ala nabi in abundance. These three things make tawbah. The concern is we know that innamal a'malu binniyat, that our actions are based on the intentions. What are our intentions? Because it would seem that, again, in engaging in the dialogue, of course, getting a lot of text messages, just an avalanche of text messages, phone calls, emails, is that it seems like there is a sizable portion of the Muslim community that the only thing they want is for things to just go back to the way that they were. And that is a very, if that is true, then that is in and of itself something to cause pause. Because it is because of the way things were that we found ourselves in the situation that we are currently in right now. Because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is the one who brought about this change. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is the one who put us in this situation, and there is definitely a reason behind it. And it's safe to say that it's not because of the pleasure of Allah. So this notion that we just want to get through this so that I can go back to doing what I was doing before, again, it is a cause for pause. Because the natural question is, where's the reflection? Where's the reflection? Am I part of the solution or am I part of the problem? Was I part of the solution or was I part of the problem? And if you look in Surah Yasin, this qissa, this story about this qarya, and the main interaction, of course, is happening between these messengers who are sent to these people, and now what is assumed as the leaders, the spokespersons of that qarya. But when you're talking about now what happened to those people, and now what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says regarding their destruction and no more messengers being sent to them after this, like everybody else was complicit in this. The same thing when we're talking about the Thamud. Not all of them took part in killing the Naqah. But because of the fact that they were there and they didn't do anything about it, they didn't stop it. So they were complicit in the act itself because they just went along with the flow. And we see that there's a lot of fahsha and munkar that takes place where we live on a regular basis. And we're forgetting to see the nur and the rahmah from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that yes, this is extremely difficult. There's a lot of hardships that have been placed upon the shoulders of individuals, especially those who are the poorest and those who have the less, have less in terms of means. But we also see now that a lot of the preoccupations of people have been cut off. And the avenues of desires and indulgence have been cut off from people. Not completely, but it has definitely been truncated. The thing is that if we are thinking that we just want to go back to life the way that it was, then we haven't learned anything from this situation. If we don't change, if nothing about us changes because of this situation, then that means that we failed to get the benefit. So if we're just reciting Yasin because I want out of this situation, Ya Allah, so I can go back to doing what I was doing before, then this is not a correct intention. If I'm only doing istighfar and sending salawat ala nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam just so I can get back to doing what I was doing before, I want to go back to my state of ghafla. I'm going to do whatever is necessary to get me out of hot water right now. And then as soon as I get out of trouble, Ya Allah, I want to go back to doing what got me in trouble in the first place. And this is my intention. Now, that's the thing is intentions. We think that intention is something that is very like, oh, it's just a casual thing. Intention can be, and there are aspects of niyyah itself, which are very latif. They're very subtle. And there are so many, aspects of who we are individually, internally, that come into play and affect this intention that we are now forming. And if we are not careful, and if we don't have this taqwa, if we don't have this wara, if we don't have this this feeling of a need, a dependency on Allah, and this need for ihsan in front of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, then what happens is that we actually become the victim of ourselves, and our intention gets generated, and it becomes something that is corrupted by aspects of what's going on internally within ourselves. There's something wrong with my heart, and that corrupted heart is now producing a corrupted intention. So if I don't address the issues of the heart, then I'm going to keep producing these corrupted intentions, and then we find ourselves in some situations similar to what we find ourselves in now. Does this mean that when we recite Yasin that there's no benefit to it? Does this mean that if we're doing istighfar, there's no benefit to it? Or if we are sending salawat ala nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam, there's no benefit to it? Absolutely not. That is not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is that for you and I, we want to try to get the most out of everything that we are doing. And we want to, in this situation, we're always, as Muslims, we are always looking for the fawaid. We're always looking for the benefits. We're always looking at what is it that I'm doing wrong? Am I doing something that is bringing about the pleasure, the displeasure of Allah, the anger and the wrath of Allah? And if so, what is it? How do I fix it? Then engage in fixing the problem, and then also making tawbah. But the notion that I'm going to be able to make tawbah, because mashallah, we've sat in so many bayans and so many programs, we understand that the process of tawbah itself necessitates stopping whatever it is that I'm doing that is wrong, and also having the intention of never doing it again. If I'm not even aware of what I'm doing wrong, how can I stop it? And if I am not stopping it, if I'm not aware of it, how can I have the intention of never doing it again? Thus, my tawbah becomes something which is hollow, empty. It is shallow. And we want the acceptance of our tawbah. We sincerely want to turn towards Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, but this requires an effort on our part. It does require active engagement on our part, so that when we recite Yasin, for instance, instead of just reciting Yasin, because most of us, we don't know the Arabic, we recite Yasin and then take the time to actually read the tafsir. Read the message. There's a reason why Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam wanted Yasin in the heart of every believer. It wasn't just so that we could recite the words, although that, yes, it's kalam Allah. There's barakah, there's ajr in the kalam of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Every harf that we recite, Allah ta'ala is rewarding us 10 hasanat. We know all of this, and we are grateful to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for it. But the message, the ma'ana of the Quran is the whole point. Otherwise, Allah could have just gave us, forgive it, but gibberish with no meaning, and just had us recite something that had no meaning whatsoever, just to get the reward, just to get the ajr from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, just to get the barakah from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. But not only did Allah ta'ala give us meaning, but Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gave us a depth of meaning. And that meaning is an ocean. It is a bottomless well in and of itself. So are we getting the meaning? Are we getting the benefit? When we're reciting Yasin, what are the lessons that we're supposed to be learning? Why is it that during these times of hardship that we recite Yasin? What is it that we're supposed to be gleaning from the recitation of this surah, other than attracting the barakah from Allah and getting ajr from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? When we are doing istighfar, what is the point of doing that istighfar? Is it just to sit there and say astaghfirullah, astaghfirullah, astaghfirullah? Or is there some, oh Allah, I have done something wrong, and now I am seeking your forgiveness? So there, at the very core of istighfar is this heartbeat of humility. That, Ya Allah, I am the one who is guilty. I'm not looking at anybody else. I'm not doing istighfar for anybody else. I'm not blaming this one and that one and the other. Ya Allah, I am the problem. I am the one who is at fault, and now I am seeking your forgiveness because of my part that I played in being part of that problem. So now I am doing istighfar. Astaghfirullah al-azim. When I'm sending salawat ala Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, what is the whole point? The point is this, is that he is rahmatun lil alameen. I am his ummati. My connection is through to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Now goes through this khayr al-khalq, the best of creation, Nabi Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. And it is by recognizing this and being an active participant. Now, because when we send salawat ala Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam, it's not because Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam needs our salawat. It's not for Nabi. It is not for him. It is for us. We do it because we are the ones who are in need. Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam's status is already, mashallah, we know very well, at least in name, at least in as a concept. As a concept, we understand the status of Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Maybe not the reality, maybe not truly recognizing it, but as a concept, we understand the reality. As a concept, we understand the position and the status of Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And there is no question about this whatsoever. It is undeniable. It is fact, and that fact is thus reality. Haqqan haqiqa. So Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam, somebody like me. Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam does not need me to send him salawat in order to increase his status. I'm sending salawat upon Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam because I am the one who is in need. Because I am the one who is in need. Because my family is the ones who is in need, are the ones who are in need. My community, they are the ones who are in need. We need this rahmah to come through from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala through our beloved Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And for this, now my own personal recommendation and request for everybody, because we always want to have something like action points, right? We have to have an action point. But the action point, if we're going to add to this something, my humble request is for everybody, this human experience of Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam, through which that we now understand our deen, through which we now have this attachment through Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. In kuntum tuhibbun Allah fattabi'uni yuhibbukum Allah wa yaghfir lakum dhunubakum. So if we want this forgiveness from Allah, if we want the love from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, we follow Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam if it is Allah that you truly love. Meaning not this dunya, not my comfort, not the ease, not the convenience, not this dunya, not the money, not the status, not the power, name and fame. But if it is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that you and I love, then we follow Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. And in understanding this human experience, it's incumbent upon each and every one of us, even if we've done it already, to refresh this relationship. Read the seerah of Nabi alayhi salatu wasalam. A lot of us, we have more time. That time that we would usually spend in going to the masajid, it should be spent now in dhikr. It should be spent in recitation of Quran. It should be spent in reading the seerah of Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam. It should not be spent on the internet. It should not be spent sending loads and loads of text messages and being on social media. It should not be spent in looking at conspiracy theories and whatnot on YouTube and what this one says and what that one says. Listening to what other people are saying, in spite of the fact that we know that what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wants from us, and now I'm preoccupying myself with something other than the dhikr of Allah. It's just more talk. It now becomes talking upon talking upon talking and more talking. But when does the time of doing come? When Allah ta'ala is opening these ways, these avenues, then freeing our time up to do more dhikr, to engage in the recitation of Quran, to get ready for Ramadan, which is still coming. When Allah Ta'ala is now opening the ways, and instead of taking advantage of that opportunity, we become engrossed in doing the same things that now could very easily be said led us and helped us to get into this type of situation. When I say the situation, I'm not meaning specifically in regards to the virus, but what we're talking about now is the anger of Allah and the need of the rahmah of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and doing istighfar and making tawbah. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala by His rahmah, by His fadl. We ask Allah ta'ala for His maghfirah. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to give us the tawfiq to engage in those a'mal which are going to be adwamuha wa in qal. That we are going to do these things consistently, even if they're very little. Because these are the most beloved a'mal to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Not because I'm in trouble right now. We're not children. So we shouldn't act like children. That's what a child does. When a child gets in trouble, the child is doing something to appease the anger of the parents until the parent is no longer angry. Then the child is like, okay, my mother, my father are not angry with me anymore. Now I can slowly ease back into doing what I was doing before until I get in trouble again, and then we will start the process all over. We are not children. We're supposed to be mature adults, mature Muslims. Our intention should be that I am engaging in these a'mal because my intention is to get the full rahmah from Allah, to learn from the past, the mistakes of the past, to make the necessary changes, to have the correct intention, to remove any contaminants and pollutants from the heart, to get closer to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala through our beloved Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. And now, even after Allah, bi'idhnillahi ta'ala, by Allah's rahmah and Allah's fadl, when Allah brings us out of this situation, we ourselves find ourselves changed. We ourselves are something better. We are something else. We have been tempered now by this situation. The crucible of this situation has become something which has now tempered us, and we become something which is more solid, more stable and firm. And now we engage in those same a'mal. Even though the situation has been lifted by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, we find ourselves still engaging with those a'mal that we are engaging with now. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala uses that as a stepping stone, inshallah, to increase us, our status fi darain, fi dunya wa fi akhirah. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala accept all of us. May Allah ta'ala accept all of our du'as. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to make it easy and to grant comfort and ease upon those who are the hardest hit within the Ummah Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. There are so many countries and so many around the world where, especially the poor, that they are not receiving the necessary attention that a lot of those who are more well off are receiving. So we ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for His rahmah. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala uses as a means of kafara, that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala elevate their status for Jannah, and that whatever Allah ta'ala doesn't give them in this dunya, that Allah ta'ala multiply it, that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala multiply it for them in the akhirah. وآخر دعوانا أن الحمد لله رب العالمين. As a quick, as a separate note, we are going to encounter a situation very shortly, especially if we don't open up before Ramadan. And when I say we, I don't mean just Mashal Huda. I mean, this is going to be a situation that now a lot of masajid across the world are going to face. And that is because the musallis are not able to come to the masjid, and because Salatul Jumu'ah is not taking place. This means that now the normal donations, sadaqah, zakat, masjid donations, which would commonly, we do it casually. It's our habit. We come for Salatul Jumu'ah either as we come in or on the way out. We're always leaving something. We make a stop at the kiosk and we swipe the card real quick or whatever. We like place some money in the box. But we're always giving something. And mashallah, based on this, by Allah Ta'ala's fadl, the masajid, they run. And all the needs of the community, we use those funds to try to meet the needs of the community. But now we have a twofold situation. The needs of the community are increasing. The needs of the masajid have not changed. But now we are in a situation where, because the musallis, the community, is not able to come to the masjid, those donations are not coming in. And as time progresses and as the situation prolongs, because I don't believe it's going to change anytime soon. Actually, more than likely, it's probably going to get worse. What's going to happen is that eventually, bi'idhnillahi ta'ala, when we come out of this situation, we may run into a situation where some of these masajid may end up closing or end up in serious financial situations, which will be very difficult for them to come out of. We have people in the community that need sadaqah and need zakat, and that money is not, those resources are not going to be there for them. And the world has not stopped. The Muslim community has not stopped. And at a time when we should be giving more sadaqah, we are seeing less. And this is, again, I communicate with, alhamdulillah, connections with, different places. And this is something that is happening a lot in a lot of different places because of, again, I'm not physically able to come to the masjid. But as we talked about, if I remember correctly last week, and قَلْبُهُ مُعَلَّقٌ الرَّجُلُ قَلْبُهُ مُعَلَّقٌ بِالْمَسَاجِدِ, that those people that are under the shade of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's arsh are those individuals, their hearts are what are attached to the masajid of Allah. If our hearts are attached to the masajid of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, then regardless of whether I'm physically present or not, then my heart should still be there, and I should still have this consideration and still have this focus and frame of mind that we still need to support the masajid. We still need to give sadaqah and zakat, because there are still a lot of those who are needy within the community who still contact responsible members of the Muslim community and the masjid to try to help and have those needs fulfilled. So we ask you, please, not just for Mashal Huda, but as you engage in your social groups in different places, parts of Chicago and also in the country and even outside of the country, encourage everybody, give to your local masjid. Please do not forget your local masjid. These are buyutullah. These are the houses of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And this is not about money. This is about a responsibility, and this is about us not collapsing as a community in the sight of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and forgetting about being more concerned about my situation, my own personal situation, and now forgetting about ummah, forgetting about the house of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. May Allah ta'ala accept us. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala open our hearts. May Allah ta'ala make us amongst those who are generous and noble, and may Allah ta'ala accept all of our humble efforts. Jazakumullah khairan jaza for your time. Wa akhiru da'wana alhamdulillahi rabbil alamin.